Welcome into Studio B and welcome to your next level Vinyasa practice called Tock block. So as the title suggests, you're going to need at least one, if not two, of these bad boys, or something that is an appropriate equivalent that could stand in, like a large book, for instance. And also, as the title suggests, we're going to be working towards Tock, which is where you move from a large back bend known as wheel pose and kick the legs over, landing in downward facing dog. And we will be using the blocks and eventually the wall in order to access that Tock. So as you set yourself up for practice today, again, have your mat and your blocks, but also make sure that you have some sort of a wall space, doorway, or something along those lines that you can shift to near the end of the practice. Let's begin by actually coming onto our backs. Take one of your blocks with you and set it right on the lower belly. And then just to extend the arms alongside you, and we begin here in Shavasana, letting the body land on the mat. And with the block settled onto the lower abdomen, the block is just bringing a very gentle awareness to where the breath might live in the belly. And the weight of the block might be making you slightly more aware of the inhale. You're having to push that weight away from you to expand the belly. And then maybe the weight of the block is gently encouraging a deeper and more complete exhalation. And knowing there will be many points in the practice today where you will be physically challenged, and so giving yourself the opportunity to start your practice with ease. Let's take one more breath here, centering in Shavasana with the awareness of the block on the belly. And then if your eyes were closed, let's open them. Lift the block, bend your knees, and we're going to set up for a little bit of core work to start the practice. So I'm going to settle my block right on top of my shins. My shins are parallel to the floor, and my knees are going to stack right over the top of my hips. Bring my palms down alongside me, and I'm going to start to glide out and in. So as I inhale, I'm going to glide the legs out. And as I exhale, I'll glide them in, but stopping where the knees are stacked over the hip points. And just continuing to move with my breath here. And we'll go about 8 to 10 times depending on the pace of your breath. And you might be thinking, in a practice where we're building towards Tock, why are we starting with this core work? Well, believe it or not, when you are working towards back-bending shapes and sometimes these more playful versions of shapes, it's really important to have that core awareness that really stabilizes you. Let's take about 2 to 3 more of these sliding out and in. You might start to feel a little bit of heat in the middle of the front of the core. And then the next time you come in, let's stop. Check in with the back body. Notice if you've started to arc the low back away from the mat, let it settle back in. Take the palms of the hands onto the thighs. Press the thighs into the palms and the palms right back up into the thighs. So there's this isometric contraction happening. And hold there and notice if you're holding your breath. Keep breathing. It looks like nothing's happening from the outside, but man, do we feel this for 3. Back ribs heavy, 2. One more nice full breath here. Hello, core. And then take the block, grab it, place it in between your thighs, lower your feet to the mat, and we're going to do a few bridge flows with the block in between the thighs. Inhale, sweep the hips up, arms up and overhead. Exhale, arms come up and float down. We'll do that about 4 more times, flowing with your breath. A nice way to start to integrate some warm-up back bends, kind of welcoming the spine into the practice. This should also feel really nice on the front of the core after that integration work that we did right at the top of the practice. How's that gorgeous breath? Keep it full, keep it deep. Knowing the breath is always the true measure of the practice. Last one of these flowing bridge poses. And then take the block, move it out from in between the thighs. Give yourself a nice hug, you deserve it. See if you can actually mean it. Maybe just inside your own brain, or maybe even out loud, just like, ooh, I love you, body. You're amazing. And then let's rock and roll and come up to all fours. Find both of your blocks. And we're gonna move into some cat and cow with the hands on the blocks. And the reason why I love this is you can really think of the blocks as an extension of the body in today's practice. And every time we use the blocks, whether it's for support or for amplifying a shape, it gives us access to this level of curiosity, of exploring maybe a very familiar shape, but in a new way. So placing the palms in the center of your blocks, and we'll start to flow through our cat and cow. Dropping the belly in our cow, rounding in cat. Moving back and forth, and for me, I really get to access the upper back. I feel my chest really opening in the cow and my upper back really opening in the cat. And having the blocks just gives me access to a slightly different region of the body here. I'm giving myself permission to really warm up for this practice. Take one more cat and cow. And then coming to a neutral spine, we're going to explore downward facing dog on the blocks. So I'm going to slide the heel of my palm back, move my blocks slightly forward. So I've got the heel of my hand right on the edge of my blocks, tuck my toes and lift myself up. Now, if this is uncomfortable for the wrists, obviously just take the blocks out, But again, approaching it from this place of curiosity, like, what do I feel here being on the blocks? What do I have to become more aware of? Maybe what do the blocks give me access to that I might otherwise not really be aware of? And then looking to the front of your space, imagine a tightrope from the feet to the hands and start to walk along that tightrope 1 foot at a time to the front of your mat. Bring the feet right behind the blocks, and we're going to twist our Uttanasana here. So right hand comes to the block in front of the left foot, left hand to the low back. Firm up that left leg, but deeply bend the right, and then revolve around to the left and reach that left arm high. Couple breaths here. Man, do I feel this in that outer left seam. So getting a little bit of space there. And then I'm going to switch it out. So I'm going to come back to center. Left hand comes to the block in front of my right foot. Right leg firms up. Left knee bends deeply. And then I revolve the torso and extend the right arm up. Couple breaths here. One more inhale. Exhale, fold in. Move one block out of the way. Take a second block, place your hands on either side of it. Heel toe the feet together. If like mine, they're just a little bit too wide. We're going to prepare for a chair pose here. Bend the knees, sink the hips, sweep the arms up parallel to the floor. And then my tendency here is for the block to move away from me and to round my upper back like cat, which is not what I want. So imagine elbows straight, pulling the block towards you, and that's going to take the shoulder blades and pull them onto the back, okay? 2 more breaths here. You've got this. Bottom ribs connecting to the front of the pelvis. And then I'm going to stand up for a few cat and cows, reaching the block to the ceiling. This is like my cow. Exhale, round forward cat. Inhale, arms up and overhead. This is standing cow. Exhale, round to cat. Keep it flowing at your pace. This should feel yummy and delicious. Last time standing cat and cow. Bring that block into heart center, stand up tall. We'll move into some sun salutations. And again, this block, this bad boy right here, it's just an extension of the body. So bring it along for the ride. Inhale here. Exhale, stay right here. Inhale, reach the block. Forward, up, back bend at the top. Fold forward and over the legs. Take your left foot to the back of the mat, lower the left knee. Wiggle the right foot out to the outer edge of the mat. You can either, block is going to come to the low height, either bring the hands to the block, or if you already have the space in the body, forearms to block. Lizard pose, 4 full breaths right here. So we know we're building towards some larger back bending poses and eventually to that really fun and playful Tock. We've got to open up the quadriceps, the front compartment of the hips, in order to access those shapes. 1 more full breath. And then we'll take that block, just slide it out of the way. Step back to your downward facing dog, and I'll introduce the Vinyasa pattern of the day. So downward facing dog, shift forward to plank pose. Take a breath here, just feel it out. Like, here I am, this is a plank, I feel strong and amazing. Lower all the way to the mat. Forehead to the mat, palms underneath the shoulders, big toes together, lift the legs, half shalabhasana. Imagine the elbows moving towards the feet. 2. Now flex your feet. Take the tucked toes to the mat. Keep the knees active. Now lift the upper body into cobra pose, bhujangasana. Ooh, hello posterior chain. Keep the toes tucked. Shift to child's pose with the toes tucked. Hello soles of the feet. Nice deep stretch here. Shift forward, up and back, downward facing. Take a breath. Look forward. Take your left thumb to your right thumb and then step your left foot into that space you just opened up. And you're right here for your lizard. Right knee down. Bring the block back in. Either hands onto the block, or if the space is already in the body, forearms to the block. I like to look ahead because this isn't a yin practice. I'm still really cultivating an alertness in the body here. So I like to keep my eyes open and slightly looking ahead of me, the way a lizard might as they're crawling forward. And then one hand at a time, coming up onto the palms, slide that block forward, step the right foot to meet the left. And we're going to take that twist one more time, revolving that Uttanasana. So block in front of the left foot, right hand on that block, bend the right knee, sweep around, 1 breath here. Maybe this is feeling a little bit more spacious this time around. And then look down, unrevolve, switch sides. Block moves in front of the right foot, left hand on the block, sweep that right arm up and twist. Look down, take the hands on either side of the block. Remember, it's just part of the body. Bend the knees, sink the hips, lift up into that chair pose, pull the block towards you, breathe. Hello, shoulders. Everything's getting a workout today. This is a full body practice. Stand up, back bend. Seal it out. Preparing for second round. Inhale. Exhale, settle in. Here we go. Inhale, forward, up and back. Exhale, fold. Right foot comes back. Right knee down. Take your block, highest height. Put it right underneath your left hip. And then see if you can drop the pelvis down and you land right on that block. And it's like, ooh, this feels nice. Like I've got this extra support here. And with this extra support, again, how does the added support allow me to access the pose slightly differently? Sweep the arms forward and up, find your lunge. Anjaneyasana. I'm still really working in my legs, even with this added support, but I'm able to work a little bit differently. And then lower the hands down. Listen carefully. Tuck the right toes, lift the right knee. Grab the block with your left hand, bring it around and forward. Hello, we're in a high lunge with the block out forward. Pull that block towards you. Now imagine there's a gas pedal underneath your left foot, okay? We want to floor the gas. So push down on that left foot and straighten the left leg. We're gonna reverse our lunge. Keep flooring the gas, but bend your back right knee, lean back. It is almost impossible for the right hamstring and quadricep not to shake here. They're going to shake, okay? If you want a little bit more, sweep the arms up, block overhead, breathe, 2. Keep flooring that gas, last full breath. And then get out of there. Palms down, step it back, downward facing dog. We'll take that vinyasa pattern, shift it forward to plank, lower to the mat. Forehead down, palms underneath shoulders, big toes together, lift the legs, half shalabhasana, 3. 2. Flex the feet, toes on the mat. Keep those knees active, legs straight. Lift the upper body, cobra pose. One more inhale. Child's pose, toes tucked. Ardha Mukha Svanasana, down dog. Looking forward, right foot coming forward. Left knee melting down. Take that block, highest height, snuggle it in, right underneath that right hip. There we go. Get settled. Feel how you can access this pose a little differently with the block. When you're ready, sweep those arms up. Again, the breath, the most foundational element of the practice. It's the measure, the true measure of the practice is the breath. Is it still easeful? Is it still full? If it can't be easeful and full, you're probably not in the right place in the shape. Let's start to lower the hands down. Tuck your left toes, lift your left knee. Right hand grabs the block and brings it forward. You're in a high lunge with that block out in front of you. And then gas pedal underneath that right foot. Straighten up, floor the gas. Get strong and steady in the legs. Start to reverse the lunge. Shaky, shaky. You're not in this alone, I assure you. Maybe sweep that block overhead, 3. 2. And coming out, step the left foot forward, fold in Uttanasana. Circle sweep, forward, up, back. You've got that block. It's a part of you today. Palms and block into heart center. Take your breath. We've got one more round of sun salutations with some fun block play. Inhale here. Exhale, block, forward, up, back bend at the top. Folding forward. Left foot to the back of the mat, left knee down. Same thing, block underneath that right hip. Get snuggled in, get steady. Option 1, repeat your Anjaneyasana, arms up. Option 2, lift your left shin and either take a one-handed bind or sweep the right arm around, double bind. Roll the shoulders onto the body and resettle the pelvis on the block. Hello, chest opening. Hello, quadricep opening. All things that we need for our eventual back bend and tick-tock. Can you breathe here? If you have a double bind, release gently, okay? Moving into everybody's favorite, Dhanurasana. Take that block, either medium or low height. You're going to shift your right leg forward, left leg back, settle the pelvis, right on your block. Really nice supported Dhanurasana. Hands could be on the floor or they could sweep out and up. We got 3 gorgeous breaths here. Notice, can I access this pose just a little bit differently because I've got this block? One more inhale. Lower the hands to the mat. Now to come out, push down through the hands to lift up through the pelvis. Move that block out of the way. Step it back to downward facing. Final time through that vinyasa pattern. Shift forward to the plank. Lower to the mat. Big toes together, forehead is down. I just keep my head lifted so you can hear me. Lift the legs for 3, 2. Flex the feet, toes tucked, knees and legs active. Lift the upper body into cobra. Shift back, child's pose with the toes tucked. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Left foot making it forward with control. Right knee coming down, block settling right underneath that left hip. And then again, options. You're either repeating that Anjaneyasana or you're going for that back foot bind. Lifting the right shin, either one hand or 2. Roll the shoulders onto the back. Resettle the pelvis on the block if that's available. Reconnect with your breath. Every pose informing the next. It's all connected, part of the practice. And then releasing one hand at a time with control, preparing to move into Dhanurasana, shifting the block either to medium or low height, sliding left leg forward, extending right leg back, settling in, deciding, do I need the extra support of hands still on the floor, or even maybe bringing the second block in, or do I want to sweep them out and up? Hands coming down. Now to come out, press down to lift up. Move that block out of the way. Right foot comes forward to meet the left. And let's take an opportunity to dangle here. Just let everything from the tailbone to the crown of the head go. You're just hanging upside down. Maybe swaying, maybe rocking. And then if it's okay for your spine, we'll round our way up. If that is antagonizing to your spine, you can always take a long spine coming up, softening the knees and rounding up. And this is a really good time if you need a sip of water to readjust your yoga pants. We're going to move into a standing sequence where we're going to be passing the block from one hand to another, little block juggling, okay? So let's get prepared for that. You're just going to need one block for this sequence, okay? Have your second block alongside your mat so that it's within hand's reach for the very last pose of the sequence, okay? We'll stand at the front of the mat. Have the block right in front of the chest, palms on either side. Settle your gaze on something in front of you that's not going to move, not going to shift. And then start to glide the weight over to the right foot and lift your left knee and just get comfortable taking a standing balance here. Then hold the block with your left hand. Take your right hand to your left knee. Reach your left arm up, back, and around, and revolve this standing balancing pose. few breaths here. Balancing, twisting, focusing, and above all, breathing. Bring the block back into center. Reestablish your balance. Step the left foot back. High lunge. Get settled. Shift the block to the right hand. Reach it up, back and around. Extend your left arm forward. You've revolved your high lunge. Not taking the practice too seriously. And then looking forward, we're going to windmill the arms, block to the mat, and launch up into half moon pose. And maybe you don't typically take Ardha Chandrasana with a block. So how do you experience this pose a little bit differently with the added height of the hand on the block? Maybe it's easier to access the balance, or maybe it just feels weird. And then start to look down, lower the left hand, the left foot. Take your block behind your heels, lowest height. Turn your feet out 45 degrees and sit down to Malasana, yogi squat. Shoulders and outer arms on the inner knees, palms together. Pull the thumbs towards the sternum, lengthen the spine, and take a few breaths. And this is a pose when we don't have the block that can take an incredible amount of low leg strength. And yet, hopefully right now it's feeling almost restorative. And then we're going to play with Pasasana, the noose pose. So wiggle the feet in together, inner feet together. You're going to take the heels, snuggle them in towards the block, nice and tight as if you were in a traditional squat here. Take the second block behind you. Right hand is going to come on that second block. Reach your left arm up, lengthen tall. Hook your left elbow outside your right knee. Now before you twist, inhale, lengthen your spine again, and then twist, navel, heart, head, revolving around for Pasasana, noose pose, with the beautiful support system of our blocks. Really deep twist here, taking full advantage with the breath. And then looking forward, unrevolving the spine. And take a breath, just hands in the front of the knees. Sit up tall. Nice and spacious. And then we'll switch sides. Block moves over to the left side. Left hand on that block. Reach the right arm up. Right elbow outside the left knee. Inhale, lengthen tall. And exhale, twist around, Pasasana. Looking forward, amazing job. Hands on the front of the shins, sit up tall. Full breath. Move that back block out of the way. See if you can shift forward to Uttanasana with the no hands. Whoop. Move that block behind the heels in front of you. Grab it, stand up tall. Find your kind of focus moving into that sequence on the second side. Shift the weight to the left foot, right knee floats up. Hold the block with the right hand, left hand to right knee. Right arm reaches up, back, and around, revolving that modified Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana C. Depending on what kind of block you're holding, if it's heavy, micro-bend your elbow, engage the bicep so that you don't strain those tendons in the inner elbow. Look forward first. Bring the block into the chest. Step the right foot back, high lunge. Shift the block to the left hand. Reach the block up, back and around. Right arm reaches forward, revolving that high lunge. You got it. And then look forward. Big transition here. Windmill the arms. Block down. Right leg up. Half moon pose. Feeling into how the blocks let you experiment with these shapes slightly differently. And then looking down, lower right hand, lower left. And differently this time, take your block, move it behind your heels. Imagine it like a little branch. Bring your feet up onto the block, perching into a squat. We're a little crow. We're gonna fly from this little perch on our block. So palms come down, knees come high up into the elbows. Lean forward, look forward. Chaturanga the arms. Fly. 3, 2. And see if you can land back on your perch. Hop those feet off. Boom. Stand up. Roll it on up. Shake it out. We are almost there, my friends. We are so close. We are going to move ourselves to the wall because that tick-tock block is on its way. So I'm going to turn my mat perpendicular to the wall. I would advise you to do the same because that sticky mat gives you that added suction, that safety and security. And then take the blocks and you're going to put them right up against the wall. I'm going to probably need to bring them a little bit more narrow because we want them to be about hip distance apart because your feet are going to go on those bad boys. So come onto your backs. And the benefit of this being on demand is you could always watch this through and then try it on your own, okay? So coming onto our backs, feet on the blocks. And we're gonna start, much like we did in our warm-up, with a bridge pose, feet on the blocks this time. So as I push down through my feet, I start to roll up into my bridge. My knees are moving towards the wall. And then I'm going to lift my arms up to the ceiling, bring them overhead so the backs of my hands land on my mat. And instead of thinking of lifting my pelvis more, I'm actually going to think of drawing my knees closer to the wall. And the more that I do that, the more lift and buoyancy I'm going to get from my upper chest and pelvis. And then let the arms lift to the ceiling and roll down one vertebra at a time. Let the inner knees fall in towards each other and just take a breath. Now, if you did that and you're like, I think that's where my work is, you can repeat that for the second round. Or I'm going to be instructing and moving through wheel pose from here, okay? Arms alongside the body. Inhale fully. Exhale, push down through the feet, roll it on up. Lift the arms to the ceiling. Bend the elbows, place the palms by the ears, fingertips facing the shoulders. Now before I lift up, I want to make sure there's some energy between my inner elbows. I'm not splaying out. Feel anchored through my feet. I take my inhale, and then as I exhale, I'm going to press up to my wheel pose. I'm going to guide my knees towards me. Opening my throat. Get this glorious spaciousness from that added height from the blocks. And then tuck the chin and with control, roll back down and rest. Okay, here we go. Again, if you've never done a tick-tock, I would advise watching this first. you're going to use the wall, okay? So you might watch this and then give it a try. Making sure my hips are kind of snuggled in towards the blocks. Arms alongside me. I go through the same steps. Inhale. Elevate up to my bridge. Inhale, arms to ceiling. Exhale, bend elbows, hands by ears. Inhale here. Exhale, press to my wheel. Now I'll take one foot on the wall. Another foot on the wall. Straighten my legs, bring my heart to the middle of the room. Ooh, this is fun. Take my dominant leg to the middle of the room, push off the wall, and find my down dog. Couple breaths. And then walk my feet to my hands. Take my time, rolling up. Ooh, that was fun. You can repeat that as many times as you want. It is exhilarating. It is fun. If it was really easy, you could also try it with your non-dominant leg. But we need to wrap up this practice, my friends. So let's make our way. I'm going to turn my mat back around to the more traditional position. I'm going to come to sit. Finding Paschimottanasana, have a block candy. I'm going to super glue my belly to my thighs. Now, depending on the length of your arms, you're either going to have hands on ankles, feet, or maybe on a block. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, wiggle those hips back about halfway. Pause for a moment. Inhale, lengthen again. Exhale, settle. You're not yet at your edge. You're allowing yourself to be in that in-between, not yet there space, and enjoying it. And then go a little bit farther. Hips walking back, knees straightening. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold in. Giving yourself these restorative moments after a really active, curiosity-based, playful practice. And then lifting the head and the heart, moving that block. And we'll take our way back to Shavasana, right where we started. I'm going to place the block once again on my lower belly. And just allowing that block to bring me to a place of awareness. Maybe imagining the block like a ship far out in the middle of the ocean. Just riding the waves. If you have more time in your day to stay for a longer Shavasana, feel free to do so. But if this was the time you set aside for your practice, allow the breath to deepen. Allow movement to return. And in your own way, make yourself back up to a comfortable seat. And we will close this practice with a very simple peace chant, first in Sanskrit and then in English. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace.